Thank you so much for listening to the Working Wife, Happy Life podcast. I am your host, Bethany Baines. By tuning in, you're joining a community of entrepreneurs, celebrities, best-selling authors, and industry leaders who have experience with the often considered taboo topic of breadwinning women. Some of our guests will be breadwinners of their own households, and others will have unique perspectives on these roles given their expertise or their professions. In this episode, I want to just take some time to introduce myself and a little bit more about what to expect from these conversations. So, let's dive in. I'm Bethany Baines. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a tech executive, I'm an activist, and I'm the host of this podcast, Working Wife, Happy Life. I have been working at Google for 16 years now, which is insane when I say it out loud. Fun fact, I actually joined Google after reading an article in 2003 that they gave away free ice cream on Fridays. At the time, I knew nothing about the company, but I knew I could definitely get on board with a company that gave away free ice cream. So I came for the ice cream, I stayed for the ice cream, but it's been a long career spent mainly in the business sector and, a long time seeing the tech industry evolve and the company grow. I am the primary breadwinner for my family. We live in Brooklyn, New York, and I have 2 kids. I have a 12-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. My husband is a full-time dad and songwriter as he retired from the corporate world 7 years ago. So when we made this decision and we started to talk to our friends and our families, we would hear things that you would never say to a stay-at-home mom. And we often found ourselves talking about how all of these concerns and questions would never have come our way had he been the wife and I was the husband. So how we got into this arrangement and what spurred me to start this podcast was the reality that we never really planned to turn out like this. I often think of my career as an accidental success. I never went to business school. I never planned to be a businesswoman. And I joined Google right before I was married, and I thought about the opportunity as my next gig rather than, anywhere, assuming that I would be there for 16 years and counting. So while my husband and I necessarily didn't expect this to be our arrangement for our family, it's one we're both really happy with. And a couple years ago, I really started to lean into my role as a breadwinner. I looked for resources, insights, studies, communities, anything to engage with. And I was really disappointed by the dearth of resources out there. And anytime I did read something, it seemed to have such a negative connotation, which was A, not encouraging, and B, not reflective of my life. So this drove me to focus the next several years of my life on fulfilling my mission to create a space where there are candid conversations, more insights, more goals of a positive and enlightening viewpoint for a community that's really been silent to date. So last year at Google, I started a group for breadwinning women. And it began after I had lunch with a friend of mine who shared that she had never met anyone who was so vocal and proud about their role as a breadwinner as I was. And that comment really stuck with me. So we started this community. It has grown exponentially over the past year, both in terms of the community members as well as the types of events and insights and resources we've been able to bring to that community. There really is no shame in this role, and I want to create more space for understanding because it's such a prevalent segment of today's society. In fact, 41% of American households with children under 18 are financially led by women. 41%, and that's a number that just keeps growing decade over decade. So I think what surprised me the most about the community is how broad the definition of a female breadwinner really is. So this community includes women who are single or partnered in different or same-sex relationships, women who are child-free, single moms, dual income households, widows, divorcees, women who are taking care of elderly parents or extended family members. We even have a couple grandmothers in our group. It's really such a broad community, and when you consider that anyone who is a woman who is financially leading a household is actually the breadwinner. And with that comes a host of complexities, both societal and financial, issues that women face in the workplace, in their interpersonal relationships, in searching for a partner. It could be ways that family or friends or school administrators or doctors or even random strangers engage with you. And sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's really hurtful and really harmful. And so here comes Working Wife, Happy Life podcast. My goal is to bring a unique voice into this conversation in terms of understanding the various aspects of the complexity of these roles and engaging allies. I really want to address head-on what the challenges are surrounding breadwinning women so that we can solve them and have those sticky conversations and get through them instead of seeing this as the demise of roles that people could and should be very happy about. We've been so fortunate with this community at Google to have so many inspirational and influential speakers come through. And I often get asked, how can I have access to these events, or how can I hear these women speak, or how can I connect with some of these resources? And the podcast is really the goal to get this message out more broadly so we can all start to be seen and heard, and for those around us to really understand what this role can bring up for us. So I'm excited to bring these conversations to you and give you a seat at the table to hear firsthand the triumphs, the tribulations of breadwinning women. We're going to sit down, as I said, with entrepreneurs, authors, celebrities, industry leaders, and understand how they've risen to success, how they've seen others be challenged, how they've seen others overcome challenges, and how they themselves have been a part of that story while also balancing the different roles in home, at work, and in society. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be a really unique and thought-provoking ride for all of us. I'm so excited to explore the many facets of what it means to be a breadwinning woman with you. There's a ton of conversations coming up that are going to give you inspiration and leave you feeling hopeful and understood. Don't forget to jump over to Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast and hit the subscribe button. And please leave us a review to give us some direct feedback and also to get the podcast in front of more eyes. It's very much appreciated. Until next time.